This is the first live AMA we'll be doing for Tech Thursday. And for those of you who don't know, Tech Thursdays are a weekly happening for the community about all things tech and product for the Immutable X ecosystem. You should look forward to Tech Thursdays every week, and we'll be lining up a few information, content, whatever you think might be helpful. Feel free to give me a ping, and we can make it happen. But for now, looking forward to talk to Tom, which is a good segue to a brief introduction of who Tom is. Thomas is currently a product lead on Immutable X, and he's looking after the token, protocol, and parts of the trading ecosystem. The topic he'll be talking with us today is the IMX token and the protocol's ecosystem roadmap. With that, passing over the mic to Tom to give his own introduction.
Thanks, Nigel, and hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'd just like to thank you all for turning up. I know it's early for some and late for others as well, so I really appreciate the time that you've dedicated to this. And I'd love to make sure that by the end of this, we've come out of this learning a lot more about the roadmap, and there's a lot more consensus on what's going on. So as Nigel said, my role at Immutable is really to look after the token and protocol ecosystem, as well as parts of just trading ecosystem. As you can imagine, in crypto, it's very multidisciplinary, and you end up doing a lot of things. So looking after obviously like tokenomics, the product, ecosystem development, and governance as well. So happy to answer any questions. I know we've had some submitted, but at the end, when it's a bit more free form as well, to answer any questions there as well. Prior to Immutable X, I've actually been in the space for 6 years now, so that's ages in the scheme of things. But I've worked at a couple of different venture-backed VC companies, Web3 companies at that as well. I was even running my own at one point, which we were invested with the likes of Polychain and Dragonfly. So been in the space for quite a while, and understand that the space changes quite a lot. So yeah, very, very, very exciting to be working on Immutable. So a fun fact about me as well, just to show you that I am a real person. I can lick my elbow. I'm not going to show anyone here that now, but that's a fun party trick that I always like to have up my sleeve. So, Nigel, I don't know if you want to jump straight into the questions, or if you want to lead me in there.
Too bad we didn't have any video for your fun fact. Now, jumping into the question. So just for everybody's FYI, the way this AMA is structured, first we'll go through the pre-selected questions for the first 20 minutes. Depending on how far we go, we'll try to leave some time for new questions coming in from the audience as well. So if you have any questions as we go along the event, please don't be shy to go to the community event text channel and just drop your questions there, and we'll try to get to them later in the AMA. This AMA is scheduled for an hour, so we have about 50 more minutes to go. Hopefully we'll be able to go through everything. Now, Tom, are you ready? We have a ton of questions from the community. I hope you're prepared.
Let's
Awesome.
do it.
Okay, let's kick off with the very first question. What can you tell us about the IMX roadmap overall? I know that's a broad question, so feel free to just go through some of the things and we can deep dive into each.
Of course, definitely a broad question, but a very important question, obviously. I think before jumping into that, it probably makes sense to think about what we're trying to do with Immutable X. So with Immutable X, we're really trying to build out the most robust and scalable NFT platform ever. And we want Immutable X to be the place that you go to build and grow successful metaverse, GameFi, NFT projects just in general. That's very complex. That's a complex problem. There's lots of different components to that. So we're trying to make sure that we've assessed all of those, and where we've got those on our radar, and we've got a plan to address all of those. So first of all, I think it sort of goes without saying, in crypto, things are constantly evolving, as you'd expect. Weeks are months and months are years. So we're trying to build out our roadmap and plan for it in a way where we can stay adaptable and flexible to the changing environments. We know that right now NFTs are hot, which is great. It's great for us. We know that L2s are very popular right now. However, in even 6 months' time, it may be a completely different landscape, and we need to make sure that we're able to provide the right sort of tooling and experience for projects and these communities to thrive. Part of that, and I know there's a lot of questions around this, and we'll get onto that later, is also enabling our roadmap to be flexible for potential Starknet migrations or other different solutions that may come our way. So, big caveat here of a lot of these things are still a little bit up in the air. We're doing rigorous discovery and research at the moment to make sure that the way that we're planning our roadmap and planning our product releases is in the best interest of the community, and that we've given it enough thought so they can be extensible and expendable as well. Sorry, composable. So one of the things that we're really focused on right now on our roadmap is providing liquidity and making sure Immutable X is an extremely liquid protocol and ecosystem to build on. On the product side and roadmap side, one of the ways we're doing this is incentivizing marketplaces and projects to actually build out their projects on Immutable X. One of the ways we're doing this for marketplaces in particular is by enabling marketplaces to take their own maker and taker fees. The reason this is important is because right now there's only 2 or 3 marketplaces built on the protocol. You've got the Immutable X marketplace, we've got Token Trove, and I know there's a few others flying around there as well. So sorry if I missed yours. But what we're aiming to do is create really specific, or create the tooling so that marketplaces can create really specific experiences for their communities. So for example, the Gods Unchained, at the moment, a lot of people use all the marketplaces as sort of just general marketplaces. But in the future, for example, with Gods Unchained, they might want a very specific sort of marketplace experience, or project X or Y or Z down the line. They want a really tailored marketplace. We want to encourage marketplaces to be able to do this and projects to be able to do this. And one of the ways we're doing that is with these maker and taker fees. So that is planned for some time over the next couple of months, where anyone will be able to spin up their own marketplace and actually start generating some sort of revenue and be incentivized to do that. We also want to leverage the token to actually bring liquidity into the Immutable X protocol. There's a few steps involved with that as well, but we're really focused on making sure that the Immutable X, like the pipes, the plumbing for Immutable X is as seamless as possible, so people can just start building and integrating directly with Immutable X, and they're incentivized to do so as well, and they're in alignment with the community. So on the community ecosystem side, that's a really big priority for us. We also know that a lot of these projects will also have their own fungible tokens. And we know a lot of these projects will want to list their own assets and pay for assets in those fungible tokens. So this is something that we're currently working on, and we hope to be rolling out somewhat soon. But that's the ability for projects. So for example, in the case of hypothetical project X, they might have X token and they want to list all their NFTs for their project in X token. We really think that Immutable X goes just beyond pure liquidity for NFTs, but it's about building these successful ecosystems. And a lot of these ecosystems are quite complex. They've got their own fungible tokens, they've got liquidity pools, they've got their own custom logic that they need to consider. So we're trying to make sure that we can do the best that we can with the current technology that's available and that will be available to provide that as well. Another aspect that is on our roadmap, but the timing is a little bit TBD, is composability. So this is the ability for projects to actually integrate with other protocols, build their own custom logic, or really just build a really flexible ecosystem for themselves across chains, or whatever makes sense for them. In the short term, this looks like what this looks like, is the ability for projects to connect to liquidity pools on layer 1. So they'll be able to run different campaigns, for example, yield farming and liquidity mining. That's definitely an option for these projects, and really just ensuring that there is that stability in their own fungible token as well, rather than just having it isolated in a particular silo somewhere where it can't interact with the rest of their ecosystem. And another composability and flexibility feature that we're trying to work on is the minting and burning of assets. So this is important as it feeds in directly into the tokenomics of specific projects as well. So if you're running a project there is the scope to eventually create some sort of dynamic token model where you can mint and burn both ERC20s and NFTs to cater for whatever experience and economy you're trying to drive. Then we've also got a real big push for community with governance and grants and all the good stuff that's involved with that. So we really want to leverage the token here to build a great ecosystem for everyone. So you might have seen yesterday we actually put out um, a post around developer grants we're going to be rolling out. So this will allow anyone at the moment, we're focusing on developer tooling, but anyone working on anything in the developer tooling space that they think is going to make Immutable X a great experience for the whole ecosystem. We really want to drive things like that moving forward. This has been a little bit of an alpha, so we're testing this to see how this goes, but eventually we're going to roll this out and make this a much more extensive and more thought out process as well to encompass everything, not just from developer tooling, but projects or whatever the space ends up evolving into as well. And then lastly, just we've got on our roadmap just making the UX more seamless across the board from our developer experience, our marketplace experience. We're focused on mobile support as well. We want to make Immutable X usable across mobile devices. We know a lot of people are going to be accessing these GameFi and projects across mobiles now, so that's something that we definitely have forefront as well. I know a lot of those things don't really have specific timelines attached to them, but most of these will be coming out over the next couple of months or sometime in Q1. The composability is an ongoing discussion, and we'll be constantly assessing that and putting content out there for the community to let you know what we're thinking there as well.
Awesome. Phew, it's definitely a lot of things and super exciting to see all of those roll out. I'm personally excited to see, for example, a better UX for the marketplace. So looking forward to that. Next question this is from Eric DS, one of the first few who gave questions in the last week. His question was all about staking. When will staking actually be available?
Yeah, the question everyone's got front of mind. So we're aiming for staking to be rolled out sometime in early Q1. Again, we're really focused on making sure that every release from here on out has questions, or we've at least comprehensively thought about the extensibility and the evolution of that product as well. We don't want to build something where we can deploy it quickly, but we need to come back in a month or 2 months' time and either completely redesign that system or redeploy it. We want to make sure what we're building now is going to be extensible and usable. So, for example, as I said earlier, we know, I think most of us here now know StarkNet has been out in the market. It's definitely on our radar. Nothing is locked in. I know there's a few more questions about this, and I'll go into more depth there, but we're carefully considering how we can make staking work across StarkNet and StarkX environments if that makes sense for us. We're trying to make sure that the way that that's all been designed is the community at the forefront. We want to make sure that we're not doing anything that's going to go against the community. We want to make sure that staking is designed in the right way and it will be sustainable. And from a integrations perspective, from a cross-chain perspective, from really the success of the token in the ecosystem as well. I know this has been a question a lot of people have had, so I'd also just like to thank everyone for your patience with this. I'm happy to answer questions about this at the end if there's more follow-ups. It is constantly evolving, so thank you for your understanding here.
And you mentioned, this is a very good segue, you mentioned StarkX and StarkNet. When will the migration actually happen, or is it going to happen?
And another great question, which has a lot of caveats and question marks and comments around. At a very high level, we're watching that very closely. We obviously work closely with Starkware, so we're trying to better understand what StarkNet actually means for us, what it means for the community, and Immutable X just more broadly, as well as the rest of the Ethereum ecosystem at large. We do know that Starkware's technology is the best, or one of the best. That's why we've partnered with them. We're working with them. And we know that StarkNet at full scale will definitely be a game changer, especially with ETH2 as well. But we know that, yeah, Starknet will definitely be a game changer for Ethereum and for scaling in general, and just blockchain and crypto in general as well. So as a result, again, as I said before, a lot of this is still highly caveated, lots of question marks and lots of red lines underneath this. But we're just seeing how we can facilitate Starknet, or if it makes sense for us to explore, and if so, what timeline should we be exploring it on? We do plan on sharing our thoughts with this on this with you over the next month or so. There's been a lot of thinking. There's basically a team dedicated to just thinking about this at the moment and making sure the way we're currently building the protocol and the release and the cadence of the products we're building is in line with this flexibility, whether it's Starknet or if Starknet means that. But at its core, and just to reassure everyone here, what we're focused on is making sure that Immutable X is the protocol that people want to go to build, or you have to go to build successful GameFi and metaverse projects and NFT projects. So we're not going to be making any rash decisions here. This is going to be a very careful decision that's going to be made. We're going to try and bring in the community where it makes sense to here. And we're also trying to assess and align ourselves with the Starkware roadmap and the Starknet roadmap in particular. It's going to be important to be a first mover on Starknet if that's the route that we do take, because we do want to take full advantage of Starknet and everything that it can provide for the community and developers just across the board, whether on Ethereum or cross chain as well. So again, this timeline is still TBD, but we'll have a better idea of what this will look like sometime in mid Q1.
Thinking a little bit on that, for those of those of us are not super familiar with StarkX and StarkNet, could you give a little bit of an overview or high level TLDR of what exactly it means to be in StarkX versus StarkNet?
Of course, yeah, great question. So at the moment, Starkware's main offering, or only offering until very recently, was StarkX, which is their zero knowledge rollup solution, which really only four projects have been able to build: ourselves, DYDX, So Rare, and Diversify. And we're very privileged to be able to partner with them and actually build out on StarkX. They've recently deployed an alpha version of StarkNet, which basically takes the same concept of StarkX, but turns it into a decentralized network. So the zero knowledge rollup technology can actually be rolled out across a distributed network and be run more like a blockchain. At the moment, everything we're doing is directly rolling up straight to Ethereum, but this will actually add more blockchain-like, I guess, experiences similar to, and there's a question around this which I'll get to as well, of, for example, smart contracts. On Starknet, you'll actually be able to build smart contracts in a very similar way as you can on layer one. We can still build smart contracts on StarkX, but the pattern and the paradigm in which you build them is slightly different. And I think that's actually the next question as well, Nigel. But this also means that when people do build on Starknet, sorry, because it's going to act more like an open network rather than 4 or 5 projects building on StarkX, there's going to be a lot more innovation there. And we actually want to capitalize on that innovation, and we want Immutable X to be the place where people can build these complex and successful projects. And a lot of those projects, as I was saying before, require interactions with other protocols, potentially other chains, custom logic, all those sorts of things. So Starknet is an ecosystem that can help bridge to that as well. Not to say we can't still fulfill needs on StarkX. It's just a different way to build communities and to make sure that we can provide as much innovation and support, and the community can feed that back into the protocol as well. So still a lot of discovery there, but those are sort of one of the benefits, or the major benefit, of building on Starknet.
Yes, awesome. And yes, you got that right. That is sort of connected to the next question, which is also from Eric DS. When exactly will we be able to create dApps? on Immutable X without using Cairo?
Great question as well. Nigel, I just saw, I think a few people are having audio issues. Are people still able to hear us?
Oh, okay, let me try and double check. Yeah. Are people able to hear? Oh, some can hear, but so for those that can't hear anything, I suggest. Yeah, there was a blip. I heard that too. Some can hear us, some can't. I suggest doing like a quick reconnection. It might be something with the connection to the voice channel. Um, I'll give people like a minute to do that, and then we can recontinue.
Sure.
Please try and
Yeah.
reconnect.
Should we play some elevator music?
Let me just double check if my recording is still happening. Um, we are also recording in two ways, so this should be a good redundancy. That.
Okay.
Okay, let me
Happy to
just
keep it.
do one more check. Uh, Okay, awesome. I think that's enough time. Some people are still able to hear us, so this should be okay. Let's continue. Tom, are you
Great.
fine to continue?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, awesome. So just to refresh, the question was, when will Immutable X be able to support Solidity dApps or dApps in general,
Mm-hmm.
without having to be rewritten in Cairo? And for people who don't know, that's a native language of Starkware right now.
Yep, great question. So at the moment, we actually don't support dApps in the most conventional sense. This would definitely change in the future, though. So Cairo will be our go-to language for this, and I know the question is about not having to write in Cairo. There's actually a tool called Warp, WARP, which has been worked on in collaboration with the team building out StarkNet. I think it's built by Nethermind. And what that does is it lets you transpile Solidity code into Cairo code. So Cairo code is a little bit different. The language itself is a little bit different from Solidity and the where it operates. I won't get too technical here, but how it actually interacts with the infrastructure itself is a little bit different. So this tool can take any sort of Solidity code, and obviously the tools will get better over time. It's still quite new, and obviously it's something that we've got on our radar, and we're trying to assess what the trade-offs are with it. But it will let you take Solidity code, transpile it, and then deploy it onto StarkNet as well. So there's potential ways to use this that we're still exploring, maybe even on StarkX. This has been a relatively new development in the space, so we're again still trying to make sure that we can assess all these things holistically and make sure they are the right decisions for the community. The other thing here is the question of why do we need, and it's an obvious answer here, but why do we want that dApp support? And obviously that's what I was saying before about building out those complex ecosystems. And one of the things, for now anyways, you can still use the current immutable APIs to do a lot of this logic. There will need to be a little bit more customization to the code. It won't be like building directly in Solidity, but you can still achieve a lot of the same outcomes with the current offerings that we have. Again, this will evolve, and this is definitely going to change in the future. We do plan as much as possible to implement smart contracts, and Cairo will be that go-to for now. And if you have questions around this as well, please message us on Discord, and let the team know, and that they'd be happy to guide there as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And then the next question is from TNJ3. What's the most important priority in your roadmap right now?
Oh, um, everything. And right now, our
Tricky question
biggest
for a product manager.
very tricky question. Right now, our biggest priority is really community support and growth, and this goes from everything from making sure that projects can build and be successful from the actual experience of interacting with NFTs on the protocol, as well as the developer and community experience at large as well. So one of the things that we're really cognizant of is that there's a lot of great ideas out in the community, both for NFT projects themselves, but also support and tooling that a lot of developers want. One of the things we're focusing on, and again to reference that the grants, the Alpha Grants program that we announced yesterday, is we want to get more developer activity in the space. We want to provide the tooling that you want to be able to launch your project successfully. So on that side of things in the community growth, we're really focused on the developer experience there, making sure that there's a full robust system that's built out to make sure that everything is being considered and catered for, and you don't have to think twice when building. It's a very clear and obvious developer experience. This even goes into things like on our side with developer documentation examples, open sourcing certain parts of the system, like an open sourced, something we're exploring is potentially having an open sourced marketplace so people can build their own marketplace in a few clicks. Things like that are all things on our radar. So on that side, that's what we're focused on. And more on the product side, uh, we know something the community really wants is staking. Obviously, we're very interested in that as well. So we want to make sure that we've built out the infrastructure and the tooling around that to make sure that we can deploy staking as soon as possible. And then in conjunction with that, we want to be able to have the system ready to provide as much liquidity as possible. And this is more on the token side of things and the tokenomic side of things, but running campaigns, liquidity provision promotions and campaigns to bring a lot of great projects that some have already been announced, but there's a lot more that we know we're really interested in Immutable X, but bringing them on and making them successful on the protocol as well.
Awesome. Lots of priorities, as always. The next one is from Android Fixer. Will there be an L2 DEX or L2?
A DEX for NFTs and a DEX for ERC20s that um, we've we're thinking about. We're very keen on creating as many primitives as possible for NFTs and making NFTs extremely having a lot of utility for the NFTs, sorry, and making them extremely extensive and having lots of different ways to interact with them. So those are things like we've written a couple of posts about this before, but metadata orders or NFTs for AMMs for NFTs, different ways to interact with the buying and selling of those NFTs as well. So they're all on our radar. The way we prioritize them is going to be based off what you, the community, tell us, as well as what is happening in the broader market as well. Hopefully, if there's anyone out there that's actually got a great idea for this, it might be something that you, the community, funds through grants, through the proposals. So anyone listening that's got that at the back of their mind and they're thinking, should I work on this? Well, this might be a chance to actually turn it into a reality as well.
Definitely take advantage of the community grants program. The links are in announcements. Now, the next question is from a bunch of people. Leto, Julianite, and Legion. What do you think about future competition? Let me break this down a little bit more. Who do you think is our competition, and what do you think about them, Tom?
Right, you guys have got some massive questions. I love it. Um, so really, who is our competition? I guess it's a bit of a nothing answer, but at the same time, everyone's our competition in a way. Other L2s, other NFT projects in and of themselves, ourselves, like we as a project are our own competition, how fast we can actually deploy things. But I think really at the moment, especially considering Starknet, the way that we have to think about the systems more holistically, the ecosystem more holistically, is about creating these great experiences. So our competition is everyone from layer one ETH, like ETH2 poses in a way a threat, but it's also, we can reframe that and say it's actually a bit more complementary to what we're doing because it will help us scale as well. At the same time, we also have to be cautious that there are projects out there that might just build directly on L1 or on other chains. That's definitely a possibility, but really it's about showing that Immutable X is the place you go to build those successful projects from day zero. A lot of these projects at the moment are currently bootstrapping everything themselves, bootstrapping their own liquidity, their own communities, the whole developer experience. By building straight onto Immutable X, a lot of that's actually abstracted, and it's a much quicker process. So um, I know that doesn't really answer the question directly, but really our competition is multifaceted, and we're trying to build out our tooling in an ecosystem in a way that makes sure that different types of competitors have been considered, and we're building products in a way to address those.
Awesome. Um, Connected to that, this is a question from Sam P. What are ideas that you have for a faster onboarding process?
Ooh, that's a good one. So we've been we're very mindful of our current withdrawal and depositing experiences on the protocol. We've been in some talks with different solutions, different providers. We're experimenting internally with different ways to make this a more seamless experience ourselves. So we've talked with people recently, actually this week, that have been able to provide basically gasless. They call it gasless uh, transactions and movements of assets across chains and across different scaling solutions as well. So that's definitely something that is on our radar. Again, we need to assess and make sure these are the right solutions, and ultimately this might actually come down to more of a DApp level question of, do marketplaces want to support this themselves, and maybe this is a curation bit we do on our part of providing different providers to the community of people that have this as an offering, or it could be about baking it directly into the protocol. Again, we'll also look to the community here on what makes the most sense to build out as well. But yeah, very mindful of that UX experience, and we do have a team that's focused right now on improving that across the board.
Awesome. Now let's do a little bit of a pivot and go deeper into the IMX token itself. I guess there was one question from Sam P. What are good or bad learning stories from launching the IMX token?
Oh, so many. Um, a good story was the, I guess, the actual listing of the token and the initial community building around that. One of the things that we were really focusing on was rewarding the community for being early users of the Immutable X protocol. And obviously, we did that through our Play to Earn campaign, but it was really great to see the activity and the engagement that brought to the community. So that was a really great learning of, obviously, and this is something that we're going to keep doing, and we want to keep doing, of just rewarding our ecosystem and rewarding our users for building out the ecosystem, for interacting with us, for just being contributors to the whole value chain as well. So that was a really great learning of just how responsive everyone was to that, and how much that actually helped make the token a success so far. On the flip side, I guess there's just always a lot of things to consider with tokens and launching tokens, and making sure that everyone's voice is heard. And so it's been that's probably been the only real downside, is making sure that we can actually get to everyone and make sure that we're hearing everyone's opinions and everyone's voices, and making sure that everyone has been properly addressed, and we've given you what we've actually promised, and we can make sure we can keep giving you that value over time as well.
Awesome. Um, Now I'm looking over some of the other questions from the community. There's one on, this is a very popular question. When OpenSea is it actually happening? Is there any official announcement?
Yes, so no official announcements yet, but I can confidently say it's going to happen sometime in Q1. We're working very closely with the OpenSea team to get a better idea of what timelines will look like. How obviously they're very busy, and they're a massive project. We're definitely growing very quickly as well. So just making sure that we've got the right level of support set up, so we can make that a seamless process and integration for both of us as well. So that's something we are obviously very, very excited and keen on, and I know you and the community are as well. So we'll keep you updated every step of the way there. But yep, definitely confident in sometime in Q1.
Very exciting. The community has been asking about that for a long time now. In that case, the next question is what is the immutable strategy to attract new customers or new users and investors to the platform and keep them long term? This was from TNJ Free.
Yeah, great question. I think this is also related to a question that we were also asked before about what happens when the NFT hype passes. So I might combine some of my answers here. Our strategy is really to focus on projects that are in it for the long haul, that are building amazing experiences, amazing games, amazing NFT projects and communities uh, that go beyond what we currently see now. And they're really trying to drive the future of GameFi, of the metaverse, of everything in digital ownership. So and if you've been in crypto for a while, you know things go up and down quite dramatically. The question of when is the next bear market is still up in the air, but let's say hypothetically we were in a bear market, or actually, sorry, whether or not we are in a bear market, our focus is on those long-term projects. And so we want to find those projects that people are going to play no matter what. They have to be good games, good metaverse projects that no matter what the rest of crypto is doing, these are still amazing experiences that people are in it for the community for. They want to play the game because it's a great game. They want to be in the community because it's a great community. So we're really focused on making sure that those projects are um, really at the forefront. We're building out the whole experience for them as well. And again, relating this back to Starknet or other strategic decisions, we're trying to make sure that all the tooling and community considerations are really thought through there to make sure that no matter the environment, the end user, the projects, and the communities are the ones that are succeeding.
Cool. Very exciting stuff. Now, circling back to the ecosystem funding, we have a few questions about that here. The first question is, can you tell us more about what exactly you're looking for? Like, what are the kinds of development grants do you prefer to see?
Yeah, great question. So what we're looking for is basically anything that's going to make the life of a developer or community members better. So this could be anything from like we actually put a list in that article. So it could be anything from uh, bespoke tooling or like rarity tools, for example. And I know there's already a few out there. So even if you've already got a project out there that's live, it's not to say you can't apply for these grants. These grants are open to anyone. We just want to make sure that if you've got a project out there that you can, there's another milestone that we can actually you can work towards as well. It could be as weird as things like tax and accounting tooling as well. So big projects might want to be able to take stock of how much revenue they've generated, and tools that help them do that might be something that helps these projects actually get off the ground. I know the regulatory environment right now is a little bit grey, to say the least. There's a lot of grey areas, so that might be something that helps a lot of the bigger projects or ones that are a little bit on the fence around the legitimate aspects of moving to GameFi, moving to the metaverse. Could be bots for the community, analytics tools, block explorers, even things like, for example, if there's multiple marketplaces out there, something that can actually run through all the orders across different marketplaces for specific assets and show you the price differences from one marketplace to another. So you can flip an NFT from one marketplace to the other and really just promote the trading ecosystem as well. So really anything goes. Really, it's just about saying for this specific grant, and again, this is just an alpha. We're testing what makes sense here. It's not about promoting NFT projects in the conventional sense, like not PFP projects or metaverse projects, but the support that those projects need to make their projects successful as well. So we're happy to facilitate any crazy ideas here. Ultimately, it's the community that will decide what gets through. We're just here to make sure that the things that do go to vote are sitting within that theme, and they will help developers as well.
Awesome, very exciting stuff. I hope we see more projects apply. This is a connected question from Potence. The question is, will there be any ecosystem funding in the future to help specifically the growth of the adoption of Immutable X?
Definitely, definitely. Where we are very keen to promote the adoption of Immutable X in multiple different ways. We understand that Immutable X as a protocol has a lot of different applications and solves problems for lots of different groups of people, from developers to end users to marketplaces to traders. So we're focusing, we've got a lot of different initiatives in the works to promote activity in all those different aspects as well. So we're not focusing on just one of them for now. I know we've got these developer grants out. This is sort of an initial test to see what the community response is like, to see if we've gone about doing it in the right way. And we really want to hear from you here. This is really, these are your tokens we're giving away, or you're giving away, you're allocating them. We want to make sure that we're facilitating it in the right way that will actually make sense for the community. So if over the coming days or weeks or years you've got ideas of what we should do with the tokens, please raise it in the general channel. Talk about it with us. We'll definitely put things on our radar and take things to vote where it makes sense. We want you to be as much as part of this journey as possible.
Awesome. There's a few more questions here, but I'm not super familiar with some of these. Let me read it to you, Tom. And then maybe you can also go to the community events text section to read
Yep.
through it because it's quite a long question. This one is from Eric DS and Tokugawa. It's regarding ZK Sync versus and Snarks versus Starks. Now, again, let me read it to you. Cypher is reportedly exploring to build on Matter Labs zkSync 2.0, which makes it possible to compile and run Solidity dApps without any rewriting. How is their ZK EVM slash Snark tech compared or contrasted to Starks from Starkware, I guess? And how does it impact Immutable's value proposition to gaming apps? Yeah, that was a mouthful. I'm not sure if you were able to get that,
No,
but happy for
I
you to take
got
some
it.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely got that one. Again, very important question. I know this. I think this was only really published on ZK Sync's end in the last couple of hours or the last day or so. But this is ultimately ties back into a question of our strategy around Starknet, how we approach that, how we approach potentially going uh, interchain, and what the future of Immutable X looks like. So we know, as I said before, right now you can't run uh, smart contracts in the conventional way on our current setup, and we definitely plan on changing this and updating this as well. One of the things that I guess addresses this concern in particular is if we do move to Starknet, for example, it will have proper Turing complete smart contracts that can be transpiled from Solidity. So it will be a very similar sort of experience in the sense that you can compile your Solidity code that you've built on L1 or taken from a different project that might have been open sourced. You might change a few parameters and redeploy it onto Immutable X. That's definitely possible. Again, here we want to make sure that the way that we're going to market with this is in the best interest of the community. We know a lot of people are asking for this. This isn't something we're treating lightly. We are doing everything that we can to make sure that this is going to be doable. As I said earlier, innovation on the protocol is something that we're really passionate and interested in. Innovation leads to projects, more liquidity, better experiences for everyone. Really, part of UX is liquidity. So everything that we can do to encourage more activity on the protocol is in our best interest. So we are definitely not taking this lightly. It does, obviously, everything does affect our value proposition, but we do have plans to navigate this. It's not something that we consider as uh, super worrying. It doesn't keep us up at night. We do have a plan of attack for this.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. I think those are all of the questions that we have so far. Was there anything else you wanted to leave the community with while we give a little bit of time for people to type in questions if there's anything else?
Um, Again, I just want to reiterate the point that we are a community and we really want to hear your opinions on everything. This is a collaborative process. We want to support as many projects that we can as possible. We're obviously mindful of the direction the space is heading. We know metaverses are going to be huge. There's a reason Facebook changed their name. We're very passionate about the space, and we're very passionate about the developer and user experiences and making it seamless for everyone. So if there's something that you think that we're doing that doesn't align with that, we'd definitely love to hear it. Let Nigel know, let myself know. We do plan on being very, very active in Discord from, uh, especially throughout the next year. So we will be there to answer any questions and to consider things as you bring them up as well. So be vocal, please.
Awesome. Okay, there's one more question that just came in. This is from player 91. What will be the main methods of value accrual for IMX, given that a lot of it is actually given out in ecosystem or developer awards?
Yeah, great question, Plane 91. So a lot of the value of the IMX token will come from the community growth. So obviously, like all projects, you need to uh, invest some of your own tokens in the community for that growth. Where we see a lot of the value accrual from IMX coming from, sorry, for IMX coming from, is from the liquidity and the projects being built on the protocol. So for now, this looks like trading volume on the protocol, but in the future, this could look like this could take the form of many things. This could be different primitives or different types of experiences that are being built. So, for example, if we run a DEX on Immutable X, an ERC20 DEX or an NFT DEX, however we choose to design it, it might work similarly to Uniswap and Uni in the sense that there will eventually be some sort of fee paid for, fee or LP tokens that are facilitated with the IMX token. So the plan is to use the token in as many ways as we can to create multiple different uses for the token and different value streams for the token. This might in the future as well, depending on what the future of the system looks like, as we start to decentralize parts of the actual core infrastructure as well. One idea we've thought about, and definitely not locking this in, but for example, we could run, or people could stake their IMX tokens to run API servers and have those scattered across the world. That's something we've thought about. Again, it's not locked in, but that's another way for the token to be used and another value stream for the token as well. So where our focus is on making sure that the token has as much utility as possible and it actually feeds directly back into the broader ecosystem.
Awesome, super exciting stuff. There's a lot to look forward to in the next year. Okay, let's wrap up then. If there are any more questions, just keep on posting it in the text channel, then I'll just feed it to Tom, and I'm sure we'll be able to get to them at some point this week or later next week. Now, a few things to end the session. Once again, thank you very much for attending Tech Thursday. This is a weekly happening for the community about all things that are tech and product for the Immutable X ecosystem. One more reminder for all you builders out there, if you want to use this opportunity, definitely check out the alpha program of the Immutable X Community Grants Program. There's over 12,000 IMX tokens up for grabs. That's almost 100,000 US dollars in today's prices. The best proposal will win, and the community will be voting. Again, the theme will be developer tooling. That's it. Thanks you for everybody that's attending. Tom, if people would like to follow you or ping you, where should they go? What's your Twitter handle or anything like that?
On Twitter, you can find me at. I'll throw it in the general chat.
Awesome. Sounds great. That's it. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I hope that was interesting. Please give us your feedback. Again, we'll be bringing content like this to you every Thursday. Looking forward to interacting more with the community and the core team.